Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're doing good. This update feels like one of those moments where the game quietly but firmly shifts into a more polished, confident state. This isn't one of those flashy updates that screams for attention, but the more you play, the more you realize how many little frustrations have been smoothed out and how many systems now feel better connected to each other. Patch 1.10 is basically Paradox tightening the screws across the entire experience. One of the first things you notice when loading into a campaign is how governments and succession feel more consistent and logical. There were some awkward edge cases before where rulers, heirs, or regencies behaved in ways that didn't really line up with historical flavor or gameplay balance. And now those moments feel far less jarring. Female rulers being able to step into military command when the situation demands it is a small change on paper, but in practice, it removes a lot of weird artificial limits and makes monarch-led armies feel more believable. It also opens up new strategic possibilities without breaking balance, which is exactly where these kinds of changes should land. Economy-wise, this update does a lot of quiet heavy lifting. Trade and market access feel more readable, and movement of goods across your realm makes more sense thanks to improvements in how roads, terrain, and proximity interact. Rivers working more consistently with nearby provinces, even through lakes, sounds minor until you realize how much it affects development and regional power growth over long campaigns. Suddenly, investing in infrastructure feels more rewarding and less like you're gambling on hidden modifiers. Naval changes also deserve a mention here, because fleets now do a better job at suppressing piracy, which makes maintaining a strong navy feel like an actual solution rather than a temporary band-aid. Military gameplay benefits a lot from this update too, especially when it comes to how battles unfold on the front lines. Army frontage and morale interactions have been tuned so engagements feel less chaotic and more dependent on preparation and positioning. Attrition finally feels like something you plan around instead of something that randomly ruins your day. Wars still punish mistakes, but they're clearer about why you're losing or winning, which is a big deal in a grand strategy game that lives and dies on player understanding. Diplomacy also gets a noticeable polish pass. Actions like marriages, access agreements, and annexation are now more consistent in their outcomes and requirements. It's easier to understand why another nation says yes or no, and that transparency helps long-term planning. Cultural mechanics saw some refinement as well, especially around enforcing culture and managing diverse populations. Instead of feeling like a blunt instrument, cultural policies now sit more comfortably within the broader societal systems of the game. Speaking of society, population growth and bonuses have been rebalanced in a way that slows down unrealistic snowballing without making progress feel stagnant. Your nation still grows, but it does so in a way that feels earned and shaped by your choices. This ties nicely into AI improvements, which might be one of the most important parts of the live rollout, even if it's the least visible. So the AI now handles economy, warfare, and diplomacy with a bit more restraint and foresight, which leads to fewer immersion-breaking decisions and more believable rivals on the map. You're less likely to see nations self-destruct for no reason, and more likely to face opponents that adapt to what you're doing. There's also a solid amount of new flavor sprinkled in, especially for formable nations in specific regions. New advances and government reforms don't radically change the game, but they add personality and replay value, which is crucial for a title meant to be played for hundreds of hours. These additions feel thoughtfully placed rather than tacked on, reinforcing the idea that this update was about refinement rather than reinvention. What really stands out about the live rollout is how cohesive everything feels. Systems that used to feel slightly disconnected now talk to each other better. Economy feeds into military, infrastructure feeds into trade, and social policies feed into stability in a more natural loop.